Welcome everybody to the Real Dealz podcast, one of the top-ranked real estate investing podcasts for the last 7 years. This is the place to be for investing strategies you can actually use, expert interviews, and of course, some good old-fashioned entertainment. Now, here's your host for the show, Elliot, the REI guy, Smith.
What's going on, deal finders? This is the Real Dealz podcast, episode 383. All right, get into what is going on with me this week. So sorry I didn't put out a show last week. I tried to shoot one. Actually, I did shoot one with my buddy Matt Anifrio and Brandon Turner. We were talking about Brandon Turner's new multi-family millionaire book that he just released 2 volumes of that with his good buddy, and he's a business partner of his. So we shot it on Wednesday at the event over at Steamboat at Go Abundance event, thinking, okay, they'll get it. They'll send us the, the stuff, so I can have my guys edit it. I don't need them to edit it. They're like, so I go ask them, I'm like, hey, when can I get that video? It's just on an SD card. And they're like, you will get it out to you probably like beginning of September. So I'm like, well, that doesn't work very well. So anyway, I apologize. I do have a show, so I will release that show, and it'll probably be a 2-show week that week when I do get that back. But I did get the books. Brandon sent me some, but I did pre-order them as well. Really diving in, and they've actually helped quite a bit about what we're going to talk about today. I have some pretty cool stuff going on, and just got done with an inspection on a 32 unit that we tied up this week. And so I'm going to talk about that and some different things in the main show this week. So Go Abundance last week was really, really cool. I had a bunch of friends that I knew there. I met a ton of people. So if you don't know what Go Abundance is, it is a mastermind group, and it's not geared towards just real estate. There's a lot of real estate guys in there, but there is, there's guys that still work jobs, or there's guys that still do other businesses. Like one guy is getting on Shark Tank for their business. And so that is really cool. There's like 300 people there. And again, most of them geared towards more the real estate, but a lot of commercial real estate guys, a lot of multifamily real estate guys, some bigger fix and flip guys. And the nice thing about this group, I just joined it last December, is that you have to have a certain net worth. You have to be $1 million net worth to be in it. And I think that's not including your house. So basically you need to be an accredited investor is basically what it is. But there's also guys that have a ton of money in there as well. But they didn't have a ton of speakers. Like they had speakers in the evenings, but like the morning time was spent building relationships with guys. So going on hikes, going golfing, playing games, or you could hang out and work or do other things if you needed to. But really getting to spend quality time with other men, I thought was really enjoyable. And that was probably the most powerful thing for me in that sense. And I could go take a nap. I didn't feel like a conference where I got done and I was burnt out at the end of the day. So that was actually really, really nice, because I just went and took naps quite a bit while I was there. And so really the other cool thing about this thing is they have like 6 pillars that they focus on, and not one of them is weighted more than the other one. So, your wealth, and they really focus on like horizontal income, which is like more of your passive income, making sure you have that. Charity, giving back to your community, family, your health, experiences, doing good experiences, and just being a good steward. And so it's cool because they want to have build well-rounded people, and it's not just about making money. I think a lot of these things are all about just rah, let's go make a lot of money, but they're a bunch of assholes. In the meantime, they don't actually work on being decent human beings. And I really like that. They actually raised like $330,000 for some charities there while they're there. They were auctioning off different speakers or things like that. So the relationships I think you get in these groups is so powerful. And this is like, I'm here, today we walked a 32 unit with probably one of my best friends, and we already own a 25 unit together, but he came up, he's a partner in this, 32 unit deal. And he came up and I met him in Tucker's Real Dealz Deal Finders Academy. We both kind of got in there at the same time. He's a few years ahead of me. They're doing a bunch of new construction. Greg Lynch, he's actually been on the show, and now we're doing deals together. And it's so enjoyable to go at this business with other people, and because you go so much farther. So I think that's really the cool thing. And I met a bunch of guys that I could do stuff with. So that's what I was doing last week. And so what's going on this week? Call magic is going good. It's definitely difficult running a different kind of business. So, my real estate business started out as like a side hustle. Then it started out as a hobby, then turned into a hobby business. And we're making it more of a professional business. But the call center is definitely a business that we're building to scale to sell at some point in the future, right? So we're building it with the end in mind. And they always talk when you're building a business, like, what is the end in mind? Like, what is our valuation? How is this going to work? And so but it ebbs and flows, just like real estate. It ebbs and flows, good times, bad times. We are added a call center in Egypt. So now we have the Philippines and Egypt, which we're really, really excited about the Egypt call center. Their English is just top notch. Also, we will be rolling out being able to have leads managers. We can have there's 3 different people we can have there. We can have the front end cold callers. We can have second level, cost a little bit more, leads managers. And those are guys that are, following up with your leads that come to your system. They kind of work for you through us. And then third level acquisitions guys. One guy closed 32 deals in 6 months in Houston. And so that's going to probably get implemented more Q1 of next year, because we're going to build out these structures and these systems for level 1 and level 2. So pretty excited about that. We're already up to 35 callers over there. So we are growing. Cold calling is still working, still seems to move the needle with your lead gen for a lower cost. Especially now that people are having issues with texting. We started doing some texting campaigns and we're getting a lot of them that were coming back undeliverable. So cold calling still is a really good option, I think. And so we're ramping it up in our business and always trying to get better. So in our business this week, we talked a little bit briefly about the 32 unit that we tied up this week. I'll dive in more in the main show. And then we sold a flip that I've actually never seen. My partner in Vancouver put it back together. We tied it up end of last year, sold it. Didn't think we were going to make that much money once we got into it, because we ended up having to put a lot more in it than we thought. Market definitely bailed us out, but we ended up making $80K on that flip. So we split it. So I made 40. So that's good, because we've transitioned into bigger deals, which is fantastic. And our equity looks really good and our pipeline looks really good, but it takes so much longer. So we don't have those 2 or 3 flips closing every month to drive money in the business. So that's going to been the challenge this year in a lot of ways. And then we went mutual. I'm a small minority partner, probably we don't know exactly. I'm guessing probably a 10 to 25% partner on this deal, but it's a mutual on a $1.8 million piece of dirt, which is 1.6 acres. We're tied up for 27 a foot. And we are going to put commercial. It's probably in the best spot in one of our towns here. It's the last corner in the best corner of where these things are going, where the path of progress is already at. And it's going to be right in the middle. They're building a hospital right behind it. They're putting, this open the urban growth boundary with probably put 10,000 more houses up there. And so pretty excited about that. I don't know where my place is going to be though. That's the hard, I know my place. My place is bringing the team together. I got the builder that's going to probably come in as a partner and do it at cost. So we're going to build a bunch of equity that way. And then we're going to go find tenants and try to get pre-lease. And then I'll probably have to bring some money and raise a little bit of money for the deal potentially. So kind of excited to see where that goes. I'm going into this one because I don't know that much about commercial. I'm going into this one with the idea, I don't care if I make 1% equity or 25% equity. I'm going to do the same thing because I want to learn. And so I think that's very important. I talk about this all the time. As I've partnered with guys and in everything that I've wanted and learned so far, every level of the ladder that I've stepped up, I've gone and found guys that are already on that level of the ladder and added value to them so I could learn that step, right? They're the same in a lot of ways, but they're different in a lot of ways too. So that's kind of exciting because I'm just looking at it as I don't really care how much I make in this deal, but if I learn, and how much am I going to learn? And then I learn about building commercial and things like that. And then I learn how to value commercial better. And I just get a firsthand knowledge of all the leases, the triple net leases, all these different things. That's going to open up so many more opportunities for me in the future because I'll have that in my tool belt. So pretty excited. We did talk to a regional bank this week as well because we have a 13 unit that we're building. We're getting ready to build. We closed on a piece of dirt last week for an 18 unit that we're going to build out in one of our towns. And then we also have a 60 lot subdivision that we're just submitting everything to pre-approval. We should get hopefully pre-plat approval here at the end of the month. And so talk to a lender about all those things. Pretty pretty cool because, their lending actually isn't that expensive. Once you start getting some, liquidity and some cash flow and you start getting up into these levels, you can go get bank financing. And, depending on, they want like on the, say the commercial deal, the 1.8 million piece of dirt, we need to bring 900 grand in for the dirt, for the down payment. But then we can basically, that's all we're gonna have to put into this deal. And their floor on lending is like 3.5%. They just stress test it at 6% to make sure like if it can hit that. And then they have some other requirements in there, but it's not that expensive of financing for a type of project. And then you just have to be able to refi out at the end of the day. So that's what happened in our business this week. Just my partner Greg is staying here. We're gonna go out to dinner tonight. We're gonna talk about this deal. I did post some stuff on Instagram of the video of the building, and I took tons of photos. So I will post more about that on my Instagram. So give me a follow at Elliott Smith REI. But real quick, listen to our sponsor, and I'll get back with you in a minute.
All right, Real Deals podcast listeners, I want to talk quickly about our show's sponsor, Ironbridge Lending. If you guys have not reached out to Ironbridge already to talk to them about funding some of your upcoming flip projects, I highly encourage you to do so. I've known the owner of Ironbridge for a very long time. I've personally borrowed millions of dollars from them over the years to do a number of different projects, and I can say without a doubt, they are the best hard money lending company I have ever come across, and that is the reason why they are the sole sponsor of this show. I've had a lot of other companies reach out to me and want to sponsor this show, but I just won't do it. I feel like I need to be genuine in who we have sponsoring the show, and it needs to be somebody that I've personally done a ton of business with. So I personally vouch for their ability to be the best, hands down, in the world of hard money lending. You won't find better programs, you won't find better terms, and they're lending or will be lending in over 20 states. So chances are, if you're hearing this in whatever state you're in, it's definitely worth it to check out their website, reach out to them, see if they're lending in your state, and if they are, I would absolutely encourage you to do business with them. Another very cool thing to note is that they have a program for most rehabs where you can actually borrow up to 90% of the purchase price. Now, this is given the fact that you are actually buying a deal, which if you're listening to the show, that means you probably are. But if you have an actual deal on the table, they'll fund up to 90% of your purchase price, and they'll even give you rehab funds on top of that, which means that it only takes 10% down to get into a project, which is unbelievable in the hard money world. So do yourself a favor, reach out to Ironbridge Lending, have a conversation with them, see if they're a good fit for you and for your next project. I can guarantee you that you'll be happy that you did.
All right, guys. So this week, I'm going to talk about what I am focusing on for me being a better business owner and removing myself from the business and the day-to-day and really focusing on what my strategies are. I'm going to talk about the 32 unit negotiation, and I'm going to talk about like where you're at in your business. If you're getting started or you're in the trenches or wherever you're at, this show is going to be applicable to you, because I think if you can hone in on what your skills are, you can go so much farther. So, and people talk about this all the time. Work on your strengths, work on your strengths. I did a YouTube video with Brandon Turner a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about, they went to operators of these people that would buy bigger multifamily buildings or bigger asset classes, and they would go to them and say, hey, how big of a deal can you do right now? And they said, maybe a $25 million deal. He's like, what if you were to double that? If I was raised half the money and you doubled that deal size, would you guys give us half of the GP fund? And they said, absolutely. And so he and his team are getting half of the GP side of the business. And if you don't know what GP is, when you're putting a big syndication together, they usually split it 70-30, 70% to the limited partners, which those are the investors, accredited investors that put money in the deal. Usually it's a $50,000 to $100,000 minimum. So like on this deal, they had to raise $26 million. So the LPs, limited partners, get 70% of that deal. And then the general partners get 30% of that deal. So the general partners can put money in on the limited partner side as well, but they also get 30% for managing, in making the building better, adding value, and then just getting more efficiencies. And they make money by increasing the value of the building, but they get a lower percentage because the investors are taking the risk. So you can structure those in a lot of different ways. The bigger deals usually are the 70-30. Sometimes they'll give them a pref, which is a preferred return. They usually have a preferred return, and then they'll have like an IRR, which is an internal rate of return, which is funny because we were looking at a deal, this 32 unit, and I was asking one of my buddies, I said, hey, you do these deals, what's IRR? What are people looking at? And they're like, we don't know. It's just a standard metric that people go off of. So it's like, it's all these different things. If you look it up on the internet, it just doesn't make a ton of sense, but it's basically saying if money was zero, if I don't even know how to explain it. So anyway, so they're going to get half of that deal just for Brandon raising money on his Instagram, which is incredible. So basically they get 15% of that, that deal just for raising money. And so if you do a deal where you buy it for $60 million and you sell it for $100 million, let's say in 5 years plus cash flow, but let's just say just the $40 million and you get 15% of that, like that's really, really good. So you're making $6 million as a company for doing nothing other than raising money. So that's Brandon's skill, right? One of his skills is connecting people, being a visionary, and raising capital now. He's using his platform to raise capital. So I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I used to, and people always said this, I used to be the guy that was answering all the seller calls, going on seller appointments, negotiating the deals. Chrissy would, do a lot more on the rehab side, but I would go look at watch contractors, check on the buildings, the units we're fixing up, a lot of different things. And back then it was fine because we weren't working that much. I had it pretty systematized. But once I started the call center last year with Cole and Tucker, well, Cole started it. Tucker and I came in, and started selling it. So I want to give credit where credit's due. I started working a bunch on the call center, and then we kind of went down on flips, but then we started buying buildings. So I have all these different things going. And so this year, especially, I have 10, let's say 5 different things that I got going on. I got the commercial, I got the development, I got the build, the dirt that we're going to build apartments. We bought a 25 unit 50-50, we're looking at another 32 unit and all these different things, plus trying to be a dad and being a good husband and going on trips and doing vacations. So I just don't have time to do a lot of things. So I started thinking if I had an analogy for this, and really I thought of a surgeon, and you can think of a surgeon or a dentist. Everybody's probably been to the dentist. Less people have gone to the surgeon. So if I go to the dental office, first thing I get in there, I go sit in my seat, and the girl's like, if we're taking x-rays, they start taking x-rays. It's the dental assistant or the dental hygienist, right? They're taking, x-rays so the doctor can look at them. Then the dental assistant is cleaning your teeth. You're doing the teeth cleaning or the teeth whitening or all these things that is like 90% of your dental visit. Usually, actually, it's more like 99% unless you have like cavities or things. So you go there, get the x-rays, the doctor comes in, teeth look good, looked at the x-rays, how's everything going? Great, no issues. Okay, see you later. So he's in there for 30 seconds usually. I mean, if they're not talkers. Then he leaves, the dental assistant cleans your teeth, and you go on your merry way, and the front desk books your next appointment. Okay, well, let's say you have cavities. So I actually had a filling last night that was an old filling that I was flossing my teeth, and it popped out. So I had to go to the dentist last night to get that fixed. And so the dental assistant is there, again, the dental hygienist is there to help the dentist. So the dentist is like building the plan. And then he's going in, he gets his gloves on and goes in, and he's just doing the filling or doing the stuff that only he can do, right? That's very specialized. The dental assistant is sitting there handing him the tools. He's like, I need this scalpel or whatever it is, or this scraper. And she gives him a scraper or this. And she also, a lot of times, she knows what he's going to need. So she has it ready and just hands it to him. So his hands never leave the inside of my mouth, right? So he's being very efficient on what he's good at. And then when he's done, says, hey, we're done. She cleans up, she does all the things, makes my teeth nice and shiny or whatever it is, and then sets me for a schedule to do a follow-up or whatever I need to do, but the dentist is done. He is only doing something that he is really good at. So what am I really good at? I am really good at talking to people. I'm really good at building relationships. I'm really good at negotiating deals. I'm really good at finding good operators. And what am I bad at? We talked about this the other week. I'm very bad at managing properties, doing anything that is task-oriented or discipline-oriented. And so that's just not my skill set. Funny example, last week, I booked all my flights. I had 5 flights. And out of those 5 flights, I was booking them sporadically because I wanted to make sure I was hanging out with guys or flying back with guys or whatever, being on the same plane or see what they were doing. Out of my 5 flights, I booked 2 of them for the wrong day. Completely wrong day. Like, I show up to the airport last Thursday in Steamboat to go to Denver to catch a connecting flight. And I'm like, I didn't get a confirmation. Go to the front desk. She's like, yeah, you don't have a ticket. You better hurry. There's 1 left. So, and then Saturday I had a flight that I was supposed to go to Portland, meet my wife at a certain time. And I'm like, I can't check in on my phone. Finally, by noon, I realized I booked it for the next Saturday. So again, not my strong suit. So next time I have to book travel, my assistant will do it. And so negotiating deals, that's another thing. I am really good at that. And talking to sellers, I'm really good at that. That is one of my things that I didn't want to let go of. That's what I'm really good at. But what I've done this year is I have let go of talking to sellers on single family or smaller deals. So I have my sales manager, Tony, that basically handles all those calls. We have direct mail that landed this week. Really good response on our direct mail this week. I don't know what you guys are seeing, but we did a new offer postcard through Open Letter, and it just seemed to do really well. Got a couple good hot leads. So I think it's going to actually pay off. So pretty pumped about that. But, we have cold calling that's going out. Tony's calling back the cold calling, or the agents are calling them back if it's a retail listing. So I'm not dealing with any of those things that are, let's say, sub $1 million for the most part. And so maybe I come in and help Tony close it if need be, but I'm only there rarely at the end to close it. Again, I come in as a surgeon, get it closed. I get more authority that way because it's like, oh, here's my boss. He's the big boss. He's going to talk about how to close this deal. But what I am doing is I am closing or tying up this 32 unit. Or I am selling in the call center to bigger clients. And so I'm having conversations with clients, or if I'm doing like one-off clients, I'm only there to talk to them. And then everything goes back to Spencer, who's my right hand there, and he handles everything else, right? I just talk there for 30 minutes, 20 minutes, tell them about our stuff, get them set up, get them sold, get them excited about it, because I get people excited, which they should be. But then Spencer takes it from there. He pulls all the lists, gets all the data, orders the callers, gets all the contracts out, gets all these things out. So I just have to come in and sell. And same, so like this building was a referral that somebody had that I had talked to before from networking. And he called me and said, hey, this couple that I'm talking to need to sell their building that's been in the family forever. I've been talking to them for like 2 years. They also have a couple other things that I want to buy, but I just don't think I can take down the big 32 unit. So I'm like, okay, so get me in there. I had 24 hours. I had to go, do a bunch of comps to see where we'd be at. They were at $4 million. They wanted $4 million for this deal, which was too much. And so, especially because the 25 unit we bought was a mile down the road. And so I know good pricing of what we paid for that. So, but I like this building. And so I wanted to get it, but we need to get it at a reasonable price, especially if we're raising money for it. We need to be good to our investors. So I get in, go talk to them, and I get them down from 4 million to roughly like 3.6 on that first meeting. I didn't even make an offer at that point. So ended up making an offer when I was at GoBundance, and they came back at us at a price, and then I got them down under a better price. So I got them down to in the 3.4s. So that is my highest best use. So then I also, since I have the relationships with the sellers now, I'm the one that's going to schedule or like line up the days that we're going to go see the property, do the inspection. So I have a bunch of relationships with my inspectors. I can call in favors. Hey, we want to do this really quick. Tied it up on Monday. We had an inspection today. So I get the three, people there. We had an inspector. We had that did a foundation and a major systems inspection. We had a roofing contractor that did a roofing inspection, and I had a pest guy there as well. So I lined that up, which that's something that I could take off my plate probably moving forward, and I probably don't need to do. But when these deals come to me, they're like my baby. Like I don't want anybody else to do it because I don't want to get screwed up, right? Because I'm still negotiating at this point. Like we haven't even sent our inspection response. So I don't want anything to happen. So this is what I'm really good at. Once I get these deals, I'm really good at just making sure nothing falls through the cracks. But it's the stuff that it's like, oh, I can do it later or whatever. Those are the things that fall through the cracks with me. And so we go there. Greg, our partner, came. Chrissy came with me. And so we took the sellers and we divided and conquered. So the guy, the husband that was more of the maintenance guy, he went with Greg and all the other inspectors. Chrissy and I went with the lady that did more of the lease ups and the property management side of it. And we went and walked 90% of the units. And, she got to see us because we wanted to show her, because this building had been their family for 50 years. And so we got to show them that we give a shit about our tenants and we actually care. So we did that. But I don't know anything about construction. They're talking foundation. They're talking these roof things. I mean, I know a little bit about roofs, but they're talking about this foundation stuff and all these other things. I have no clue. So I couldn't go walk with the inspector and comprehend, what they're saying. Greg, on the other hand, he's a home builder. He understands construction. He understands these things. So we allowed him to do what he's really good at. And then I do what I'm really good at. And then we'll put our heads together tonight. We will go, we're going to go to dinner and we're going to go put our heads together, what we think, what we need to talk about. And then I also talk to the sellers a little bit more after the fact when we're all done. Gotta build a better relationship with them. And that is my skill. So right now, my 3 focuses are deals. And my personal focus is going to be on higher end, bigger deals, million, let's say million plus, the apartments, the dirt, the development, things like that. Deals, raising capital. I do a monthly, I didn't do it last month, but I do a monthly recording Zoom meeting for people that want to invest with us. And so I build relationships. So even right now on this 32 unit, I'm already talking to guys off the cuff. We haven't raised for it, but I'm already getting guys excited about this deal and putting money in their deal and feeling out where the money is going to be and how are we going to raise, how much are we going to raise, all those things. And then I'm really good at finding operators. I am not the best operator. Chrissy just moved into our COO role. She's going to be our operator that runs everything. Basically, I'm getting myself out of the business and becoming more of the visionary, more the CEO side, I would say. But she's going to handle all the operations. And so I find operators. So Chrissy's a really good operator on managing and contractors, our apartments, our property management, all these things. And so another example of an operator would be our partner Rudd, where we are building a 13 unit. Well, I put the deal together. I found the financing. I bring the bankers, the money, all those things. I raised, the 13 unit. I got $500,000 loan at 8% that we'll have that's ready to go whenever we need it. I lined up the bankers, but I don't know how to build a 13 unit. I don't know how to do permitting. I don't know how to put streets or parking lots or any of that stuff in. So we partner with Rudd and he's going to do those things, right? He's doing what he is really good at. And so that's kind of the idea. So how does this apply to you if you don't know very much, right? That's the question. How does this apply if you're newer in this business or you're unsure about what your skill sets are? Well, everybody has a skill. Everybody has something they're good at. Well, most people, let's say. If you're listening to this show, you have some kind of skill. And you're probably going to fall in. If you're newer, you're going to probably have to overlap your skills a little bit more. So you can't just be so picky. But, finding somebody that is really good at things that you're not is very important. So if you're newer at this business, I talk about this all the time, you need to get good at finding deals, whether that is talking to sellers, driving for dollars, being a sniper marketer, sniper targets, getting those things, getting leads in the door, whatever. You need to find opportunity. So you can do that without talking to very many people for the most part. Now you're going to need to talk to some people, but you need to find opportunity and you need to understand what opportunity is. So, okay, do you understand pricing or, 70% of ARV, that's different in most markets, but let's just say it's 80% of ARV in a Seattle market or whatever. So you need to go find opportunity. Now, say you have an opportunity and you've also networked at the RIA or you're part of a local Facebook group. Well, go find a guy that you really like that does flips and say, or is really good at sales like I am, like this guy did for this 32 unit, right? He knew that I did this and I'm good at it. So I was the authority. So he called me. He didn't call somebody else. So he's like, I have this opportunity. Let me send it to Elliot. And I know Elliot has a good reputation. He'll take care of me. So we will pay very well for this stuff. So we paid one guy 10 grand just for sending us the 25 unit. And all he did was connect me with the seller that wanted 2.1 and we paid 2.1, but he never did anything other than connect me. And then I closed it and he made 10 grand, right? This guy stayed a little bit more involved, but let's see, so he's still going to make some money on this, or he has the opportunity to buy into this building and let us manage it. So, but they found opportunity that they're going to get paid off of. So you find a deal and you go find somebody that fits that deal. So maybe say it's not a house. Let's say it's a 10 unit apartment building, right? And you just go find somebody that buys apartments in your area and says, hey, I have this opportunity. Would you like to work it with me? I just want to learn. And I don't know if I can buy in the deal or not, but I want to learn how you do it. So last week when I was negotiating, the guy was at the meeting, listening to me talk to sellers and learning how I'm doing it. And so then he's going to get something for that, right? Or say it's a development deal, which I don't know anything about really development. I can kind of price them out a little bit. But when I find an opportunity, I went to Rudd and said, hey, is this a good deal? Gives me a full write-up. Here's what it is. Here's what we can do there. And I provide him an opportunity. I'm like, hey, do you want to do this with me? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'll bring the deal and the money, find the money. You put it together, do it all, and we'll split it 50-50. That's really fair. So opportunity, you just have to find it and understand what opportunity is. And you can learn all this stuff on YouTube, learning like how to find opportunity. And then you can start to find your lane. right? Are you really good at managing contractors and being more disciplined and detailed and things like that, but you're not a salesperson? Well, go find somebody, say, I'm really good at marketing and making sure the marketing is going out all the time. And providing opportunities. How about you take these phone calls and go on these appointments and we'll split it, right? Or whatever it is. I did that last week. I was out of town. I have one of the flippers here in Tri-Cities, and we had an appointment that I couldn't make it to because I was gone. And so I'm like, hey, do you want to go on this appointment for me? Yes. He went there, negotiated it, tied it up. We figured there was about 55 grand in there. And he's like, what do you think is fair? He's paying me $12,000 for providing that lead. And he went and locked it all up, right? But I provided opportunity and made money. Right? I didn't have to talk to a seller. My sales manager talked to him a little bit to set up the appointment, but then my guy went on the appointment that doesn't work for me. And he's like, he wants to flip it. I didn't want to flip it, but you find people. So finding opportunity is important. And then figuring out what your lane is even the next level up. So hope you guys got something out of this. I'm really excited right now, if you can't tell. And so hopefully I wasn't rambling too much, but just, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I respond back to everybody on Instagram if you have any questions. And also you can watch the YouTube video with Brandon. It's Elliott Smith REI on YouTube. Everything's Elliott Smith REI. So reach out to me if you have any questions. But another really cool thing, we did a show, I think it was the last show that came out it was the coaching call. And in that coaching call, if you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to it. We talk about finding private money. And having a mindset of like, you're the prize, and stop giving so much money to these private lenders, because you can find lenders that will give you less money. Really cool, because I got a text from that guy and it completely changed everything. He was able to get some lenders that went from like 12% down to 6%, and they're not going to subordinate on his loans. So he can move they're not going to put a deed of trust on these. He's going to be able to move it around on different properties, and then they're just going to pay a straight interest rate. So go listen to that, because he went and found it. He just had never thought about it. So a lot of the things you think about in this business, it matters how you think. And I also this week, I haven't got it yet, but I called my high school today and I said, hey, can you send me my high school transcripts and my attendance records? And I'm going to put that out on my Instagram at some point. But I'm no smarter. Like I just have gotten very fortunate that I had a dad that pushed me into this direction. They didn't give us money. Chrissy grew up really poor. They didn't give us money. I'm not some educated person. We had to figure it out. But what we did figure out is if you go build really solid relationships in this business, you will go really, really, really far. And just get good at a couple things. This business isn't that hard. And I think you can do it. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the show this week. We'll catch you next time, and signing off.